Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my USC football predictions for the 2020 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to your channel. Greatly appreciate it if you do that. I do have a subscriber goal of 500 subscribers, which I'd love to hit by August 29th. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, you will not regret it. So USC last year went 8-5 with a loss in the Holiday Bowl against Iowa in a blowout fashion. And this year they're hoping to maybe get to a Pac-12 South, maybe not Pac-12 South, a Pac-12 championship game. The Pac-12 South is pretty wide open this year, and they're going to try to go ahead and win that. But let's see if I have them winning that Pac-12 South. Let's start off with the pros and cons, the things I like. Let's start off with the things I like. Things I like about USC. The offense. I do think this offense is pretty good. Slovis, the quarterback, I'm assuming he's going to be the starting quarterback. They had three quarterbacks. J.T. Barrett transferred to Georgia, so I'm assuming it's Slovis who's going to be the starting quarterback there at USC. And I thought he played pretty well last year, and I think he's going to play pretty well again this year. So, and overall USC, yes, they lose Michael Pittman, but you're USC. You should have talent to just stock up on and just replace these players. So, but I do like the quarterback for USC, and I do think this offense will be pretty good. And then the Pac-12. Listen, Pac-12 I think is one of the worst Power 5 conferences, even them with the ACC. Even though I would probably lean more towards Pac-12 than the ACC because I do think the ACC has some better teams this year than the Pac-12 does. But USC, especially playing in that Pac-12 South, which is wide open this year, it's going to be very good for the USC to be playing in the Pac-12, having non-conference games in the Pac-12 this year. The things I don't like, Clay Helton. And the thing is, as I said in the hot seat video, coaches on the hot seat video, I think a lot of teams will take Clay Helton as their head coach. Here's the issue. The whole storyline involving Clay Helton is going to be how secure is his job? Is he going to get fired? And I think that, and I usually don't like that for a team, so that's why I put him on things I don't like. I like Clay Helton as a coach. I just don't like the fact that the whole year it's going to be headlines. If Clay Helton is about to get fired. No, we don't like those headlines. That's not good for any team. And then the schedule. The schedule's pretty tough, especially the out-of-conference schedule. I'll get into that here in a second. You draw Oregon and Washington out of the Pac-12 North. So it's a pretty tough schedule, but we'll see how it goes for USC when I go through the game-by-game schedule. Three toughest games. Your three toughest games are Alabama, Notre Dame, and Oregon. Alabama is a neutral site game in Dallas. I do think Alabama is a top 5, top 6 team this year. Notre Dame just did them yesterday, so go check out that video. I also did Alabama's and Oregon's as well, but go check out Notre Dame. That one happened yesterday. Notre Dame to me is a top 15 team, and then Oregon to me is a top 15 team as well. So those are three pretty tough games for y'all. You do get the Notre Dame and the Oregon game at home, so that's a bit of a plus. Your three easiest games: New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona. New Mexico, one of the worst teams in the Mountain West. Colorado, I think Colorado is the worst team in the Pac-12 this year. So that, and then Arizona, probably top 3 worst teams in the Pac-12 this year. See, this is going to be for that second spot because I do think Colorado is the worst team in the Pac-12 this year. That second worst team in the Pac-12 is either going to be between Arizona or whoever comes last in the Pac-12 North. Your best case and worst case scenario. Your best case scenario is 10-2. I just can't see you guys doing any better than 10-2. I'm sorry, but this schedule is pretty tough. Alabama, Notre Dame, Oregon as your 3 toughest games. You're on the road against Oregon. So that's my mistake. I thought you guys were at home against Oregon. You're on the road against Oregon. I mean, I look at Stanford, I think that's a losable game. Arizona State, losable game. At Utah, I think is a losable game. Cal, I think is a losable game. Washington, I think is a losable game. And then even at UCLA, I think is a losable game. So I think you have maybe some toss-ups on the schedule that could go either way. I just don't see you guys doing any better than 10-2. Worst case scenario, 6-6. I do think you guys make a bowl game this year, no matter what. But it could be a 6-6. As I said, I think you have a lot of toss-ups on the schedule, and you're going to be underdogs in a few of these games. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where I have them going. Let's take a look at the schedule. The schedule right here in front of you. Let's kick it off with that first game, neutral site game against Alabama in Arlington at Jerry World. I already did the Alabama football prediction video, so go check that out. But I went back and forth with this one, and overall, I did go with Alabama because I do think Alabama is the better team. So I gave you guys the loss in that one. I think at the end, you guys keep it competitive for a half, but I think Alabama pulls away some in the second half. And Alabama goes ahead and gets the win there, probably by about 3 touchdowns or so. Next game, New Mexico. New Mexico, I think you guys win this game. It's at home. It's your first home game of the year. I think you guys do get the win here. I think a blowout fashion. New Mexico is one of those teams, one of the worst teams in the Mountain West. And personally, I think that you guys will probably just blow them out. Next game at Stanford. Stanford is a team last year. They were pretty disappointing. I do think they're going to be a lot better this year, probably getting themselves into a bowl game most likely. You guys got them on the road. Last year, you guys blew them out and kind of exposed them some. I think this game is much closer than what it was last year, but I do think you guys get the win. I think USC will be favored going into this game. I don't know if they cover necessarily, but I do think USC gets the win on the road against Stanford this year. Next game, Arizona State. This has the potential to be a top 25 matchup. Alabama is going to be a top 25 matchup. This game, I think, has potential to be a top 25 matchup. Is that home for you guys? I think it's going to be a really good game either way. Arizona State, a lot of people are having them win the Pac-12 South, either them or USC. I think this game might be the game. Whoever wins this game wins the Pac-12 South. I won't count out Utah in the Pac-12 South, which is your next game either. But I went back and forth for this one. I gave it to USC because they're at home. Arizona State, I think that this is a pretty even game. But I gave it to USC because they're at home. So, big win for USC there against Arizona State. You guys kick off the season 3-1. Next game is a Friday night game on the road against Utah. Last year, you guys beat Utah. There was a number 10 team in the country. They came to your place on Friday night, and you guys beat them, and that caused a rant from me. And the reason why I went on the rant last year is because I thought USC had an advantage with the reffing because Utah plays a very physical style game, and those refs were calling every little thing ticky-tack thing last year, and I thought it was a big disadvantage for Utah, and that's why I went on a rant last year after that game, because I didn't really think Utah had a fair advantage, a fair playing field in that game. I went back and forth for this one. It seems like this game is a Friday night game every year. I don't know why. I gave it to Utah. I think Utah, listen, they lose a lot. They get the quarterback, Jake Bentley. They get Jake Bentley to play quarterback for them from South Carolina. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Pac-12. I know counting out Kyle Waringham and anything. I don't think they lose a lot, but I don't think they really take that much of a step back. So maybe obviously they're going to take a step back, Utah, but I don't think they're going to take as big as a step back as people want to think they will. But I think it's going to be a good game. But overall, I am going to give it to Utah. I think it is a one-possession game, though. So that's your second loss of the season. First loss there in the Pac-12. Next game at home against Cal. A lot of people are very high on this Cal team. I have kind of mixed feelings about that. I do think they're a decent team, but at the same time, I don't think that they are really a serious contender in the Pac-12 North, primarily because Oregon's in their way. And I also think Washington will have a say as well with Cal for that second place spot. I went back and forth with this one. I did give it to USC. You guys are at home for this one. I think it's going to be a great game. But at the end, this is one of these toss-up games. And with USC at home, I'm just going to give the edge to USC. I think they get the win there. Big win for USC. Next game at Arizona. I think this game could turn into a bit of a shootout. But at the end, there's going to be no doubt who's going to win this game. And it's going to be USC. USC is one of those teams. They're good enough to beat all the low teams in the conference. They could blow them out. I think Arizona will score some points on them, but at the end, USC I think wins this game by at least 3 touchdowns. Then you get your bye week. Your bye week comes in between on the road against Arizona and Colorado at home. Next game, Colorado at home. Win. You guys will beat Colorado without a problem, in my opinion. I just think there's an absolute mess out there in Boulder. I know last year, I think it was a Friday night game. You guys had to come back down 31-17, I want to say, 31-21, something like that, and come back and get the win, primarily because Colorado's quarterback got injured. I just feel like this year, this game's not going to be close. I think USC gets a big win there. Next game at Oregon. Last year, you guys got blown out by them. Oregon is a team that I already did, so if you watched that video, you already know who I have. But I do think Oregon is a team. They're a top 15 team, maybe a top 10 team. I don't know if they're a college football playoff team. Obviously, I am picking Oregon to win this game, which means USC is going to lose this game. But I do think it's going to be closer than 56-24, which was the score last year when these two teams faced off. I do think it's going to be closer than that. Probably something like, I think it's probably a 2-3 touchdown game still, though. Next game, Washington at home. Washington is a team, new coach Jimmy Lake, which I actually like, but I do think they might take a minor step back. Year one under a new head coach, I'm always a bit leery about that. Coming off of a loss against Oregon, USC, at this point, they probably have to win these final 2 games to get to the Pac-12 championship game. I do think they beat Washington. I think it's going to be a kind of a low-scoring game, but at the end, I think USC, especially at home, makes a play or two. And I think USC goes ahead and gets the win there. To me, this is once again, this is one of these toss-up games that could go either way, 50-50 games, but I'm going to give it to USC again since they're at home. And the 50-50 toss-up games, in my opinion, are, just to let you all know, it's Utah, Cal, and Washington. Those are the 3 50-50 toss-up games. I'm giving you 2 out of the 3. So that's probably good if you're a USC fan. Next game at UCLA. UCLA is one of those teams. I do think they're going to improve a little bit this year. Interesting fact about Chip Kelly: all of his wins are in the Pac-12. He has not won the out-of-conference game at UCLA yet. I went back and forth with this one. I think this game could actually really go either way. I think USC will be favored going into this game. And I think it's probably 64 USC in this one. I'm calling for the upset. UCLA is going to beat USC this year. It's in UCLA. I think UCLA is going to be looking to make a bowl game this year. This game might be UCLA wins. They're in the bowl game. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I do think that UCLA wins this game in the upset. I think it's a one-possession game, kind of a shootout a little bit, but at the end, I'm going to go with the upset. I think UCLA beats USC. And the final game of the year, Notre Dame at home. We did Notre Dame football predictions yesterday, so go check that video out. I went back and forth for this one. I do think USC will be the slight underdog in this one, and I think they have a very, very legit shot at being Notre Dame in this one. But I just couldn't bring myself to pick it. I had to go with Notre Dame. I just think they're the better team. I think this is a touchdown game. But I think Notre Dame is just the better team, and that's why I'm going to go with Notre Dame over USC. Even though last year, I will say this, USC did surprise me last year against Notre Dame. I thought that game was going to be like a 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown game, and it ended up, I think, only being 30-27. So that was a pretty good showing for USC last year. But I think it's a similar thing. USC's close, but they just can't get over the hump and beat Notre Dame. So those are my USC football predictions. If you count up all the wins and losses, I have USC going 7-5 and 6-3 in the Pac-12. 6-3 in the Pac-12. 7-5 and 6-3 in the Pac-12. Is 6-3 good enough to get yourselves into the Pac-12 championship? Maybe you have the tiebreaker over Arizona State in the head-to-head, but you don't against Utah in my scenario. So if Utah goes 6-3, Arizona State goes 6-3, Utah gets the edge. If Utah goes 5-4, but Arizona State goes 6-3, USC has the edge. But any record above 6-3 in the Pac-12, that team will get the edge. But those are my predictions for USC. Comment down below. Tell me your predictions for USC. I always like hearing from y'all. Thanks for watching. North Carolina football predictions are tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. McD the Beast signing off.